this psycho officer pulls the pin on a grenade and casually tosses it into the crowd. Grenade! The soldiers scramble to get away, but one scrawny little guy doesn't hesitate. He throws himself right on top of it.
Get away! Get back!
But the grenade never goes off. That's when he realizes the grenade was a dummy. Soon they move on to the second test. The officer tells the soldiers, fresh off a 200-kilometer run, to grab the flag from the top of the flagpole. Whoever gets it first gets to ride back to base with the gorgeous agent. The soldiers all rush to climb the pole, but they're completely gassed from the run. Plus, the pole is completely greased up. No matter how hard they try, nobody can make it to the top. Eventually, they all give up. But then, that scrawny little guy calmly walks over. He pulls the pin out of the base, the pole drops to the ground, and just like that, he grabs the flag that nobody had managed to get in 17 years. His name is Steve. He hands the flag to the officer and rides off while everyone watches in pure envy. During World War II, HYDRA's leader, Red Skull, leads his troops into a church in Norway and finds the Tesseract he's been searching for. He plans to harness its power to build the ultimate superweapon. Meanwhile, to fight back against HYDRA, the US launches a massive recruitment drive, and this scrawny little guy, Steve, he's actually Captain America. Yeah, you read that right. He's one of the recruits. The examiner takes one look at his tiny frame and stamps him rejected without a second thought. To take his mind off things, Steve heads to a movie theater. Some guy in the front row keeps running his mouth, annoying everyone around him. Steve can't just sit there, so he tells the guy to knock it off, but that earns him a beating in the alley out back. Steve grabs a trash can lid to defend himself, his very first shield. And then he says that iconic line,
I can do this all day.
That's when his buddy Bucky shows up and teaches the punk a lesson. At this point, Bucky's still just a regular soldier, and the two of them are thick as thieves. That evening, they head to the World's Fair together. The guy with the mustache on stage, that's Howard Iron Man's father. He's showing off his latest invention, an anti-gravity hover car. While everyone's glued to the stage, Steve's eyes are drawn to a recruitment poster on the wall. You can see how badly he wants to enlist, even though he's already been rejected 4 times. With Bucky's encouragement, he decides to give it one more shot. So he heads to the examination center, and that's where he meets the man who will change his life forever, Dr. Erskine. The doctor sees something in Steve, a spirit that refuses to quit. He decides to give him a chance. And just like that, Steve finally enlists. He lands in the best unit there is, and even gets a shot at the super soldier selection. But standing out among these elite soldiers seems nearly impossible. A cargo net the others breeze through is a real struggle for him. His fellow soldiers mock him for being weak, and people are constantly messing with him, kicking down obstacles to throw off his training. But none of it shakes his determination. He proves himself through his actions, small in stature, but brave and clever. And with that, he earns the right to become the super soldier. That night, Dr. Erskine comes to see Steve and tells him he's the perfect candidate for the experiment. See, the super serum has a flaw. It enhances your body and strength, sure, but it also amplifies who you really are inside. Put simply, good becomes greater, and evil becomes worse. But the procedure itself is far from easy. It's pure agony to endure, and there's a real chance of failure. But Steve doesn't hesitate for a second. I can do this. On the doctor's signal, 2 devices lined with needles are plunged into Steve's arms. Then 6 vials of super serum are slowly injected into his body. It's uncomfortable, but not unbearable. But that's only the beginning. As Howard fires up the machine, Steve is sealed inside an experimental chamber. As the energy pours in, the chamber starts glowing with blinding light. But when the energy hits 70%, agonizing screams come from inside. The doctor rushes to shut it down, but Steve yells at him to keep going. When the energy reaches 100%, the entire power grid blows out, and the machine finally stops. But there's no sound coming from inside the chamber. Did the experiment fail? But when the chamber slowly opens, everyone in the room is absolutely stunned. The skinny little beanpole from before has transformed into a chiseled Adonis. Through sheer willpower alone, Steve endured every bit of it. Even the men can't help but stare at that physique, let alone Agent Carter, who literally can't keep her hands off him. But just as everyone's celebrating, danger strikes. An explosion shatters the moment of joy. A HYDRA mole steals the last of the serum, and Dr. Erskine is fatally wounded. The spy breaks through and escapes. With his dying breath, the doctor taps Steve's chest, a reminder to stay true to who he is. And just like that, Captain America is born. Meanwhile, Carter is in a fierce showdown with the spy. She takes out the driver, slowing the spy's escape, but the spy hijacks a taxi and floors it straight at Carter. At the last second, Cap dives in and saves her, and now it's a full-on chase. His speed and strength are superhuman. He clears a 30-foot gate in one leap, hops across traffic, and lands right on the spy's car. The spy swerves like crazy, trying to shake him off, but loses control and crashes. Turns out the guy's tough to kill, though. Cap grabs a car door to block the bullets. Desperate to get away, the spy grabs a kid as a hostage. During the escape, he drops the kid into the river. Then he reaches the waterfront and calls in a submarine, planning to escape by water. Once Cap sees the kid can swim, he stops worrying and sprints after the sub. He takes a running dive into the water, swims up to the submarine, punches straight through the glass, drags the spy right out of the cockpit, and hauls him ashore. The last vial of serum shatters on the ground. When Steve tries to get some answers, the spy bites down on a hidden pill and says something chilling.
Hail, HYDRA.
Cap is baffled. Who is this leader that inspires such fanatical loyalty? After speaking with the colonel, he learns the truth. Hydra's leader, Red Skull, was the first person Dr. Erskine ever enhanced. But the serum amplified the evil already inside him and mutated his body, leaving him horribly disfigured. And then by chance, he got his hands on the Tesseract and used its power to build an arsenal of superweapons, all to conquer the world. To counter this threat, the military launched the Super Soldier program to build an enhanced army. But now that the serum is gone, the whole plan is dead in the water. Cap begs to be sent to the front lines, but the colonel says, "I need an army, not one man." So Cap gets shelved. But after the whole incident, he becomes an overnight sensation. His heroic deeds are splashed across every newspaper and magazine. He gets turned into a stage performer, doing the same show over and over, day after day. That's how he earns the title Captain America. Sure, the public sees him as a superhero, but the real soldiers think he's a joke. It makes Cap feel like nothing more than a clown. Then one day, Carter gives him some devastating news. The squad that raided a HYDRA base has been wiped out, and that includes his best friend, Bucky. Command has written them off because they're too deep behind enemy lines. But Cap's not giving up on his friend. He decides to go in alone on a rescue mission. With Carter's help, he hitches a ride on Howard's private plane and flies covertly over the POW camp. But the enemy's anti-aircraft defenses spot them fast. The plane can't push through the heavy fire, so Cap has to parachute in. HYDRA's security is tight, so Cap waits for his moment, then leaps onto a passing supply truck. He takes out the guards inside in seconds and slips into the base. He finally finds the prisoners, but they just crack jokes about his ridiculous outfit. But scanning the crowd, Cap can't find Bucky anywhere. After asking around, he learns Bucky was taken to the lab. Inspired by Cap's presence, morale goes through the roof. The prisoners storm out of their cells, grab weapons from the guards, and all hell breaks loose. They even hijack HYDRA's futuristic, Tesseract-powered weapons. A few blasts and most of the base is in ruins. HYDRA's forces crumble. In the chaos, Cap finds Bucky locked up in isolation. Before Bucky can even ask what he's been eating, Red Skull triggers the base's self-destruct sequence. Explosions erupt everywhere, and that's when Cap finally comes face to face with Red Skull. You'd think an epic fight is about to go down, but after trading a few blows, Red Skull decides to bail. Seems like Red Skull just wanted to prove he'd taken the serum too. He lectures Cap about how he's superior to ordinary humans, bragging about his power, fearing nothing. And then Cap asks the question we're all thinking.
Then how come you're running?
Cap makes it back to base with all the rescued prisoners, and at last he becomes the real Captain America. In the days that follow, Cap assembles his own team, dedicated to taking down HYDRA. With Howard's help, he gets fitted with his own gear. Out of all the shields available, Cap picks an unfinished round one, made of vibranium. Now armed with his signature weapon, Cap leads his team on a campaign to wipe out every HYDRA base. Red Skull watches his empire crumble. He decides it's time to finish Cap for good. Little does he know, Cap's already coming for him next. Cap's team gets intel that Red Skull is aboard a train heading their way. He takes Bucky and the others and sets up an ambush, ready to take out Red Skull and cripple HYDRA for good. The train appears up ahead. The team uses a zipline they've rigged in advance to slide down onto the roof of the train. Cap and Bucky drop inside the car first, not realizing they've walked right into a trap. A door slams shut, separating the two of them. Seconds later, soldiers with superweapons close in from both sides, but neither of them panics. They fight back hard. Cap seizes an opening, slides along the overhead rail toward the enemy, blocks the blast with his shield, and finishes the guy off with a single kick. With Cap backing him up, Bucky takes out his opponent too, but there's one more behind them. Bucky scrambles for a gun and fires, but a blast sends him flying out of the train. Cap grabs his shield and takes the guy out with one throw. But Bucky's in serious trouble. He's hanging from the outside of the train by a thread. Before Cap can reach him, the railing gives way, and Bucky plunges into the ravine below. This might be Cap's darkest moment. In the end, they only manage to capture Red Skull's right-hand man. Under interrogation, he gives up the location of Red Skull's hideout. Red Skull, meanwhile, is rallying his forces for his plan to conquer the world. To avenge Bucky, Cap rides solo on a motorcycle straight into Hydra's fortress. A terrifying modified tank rolls toward him, but 2 missiles and it's scrap metal. He uses a bunker ramp as a launch pad and flies right over the walls into the base. Seriously, how cool is that? He triggers the bike's self-destruct, jumps clear, and proceeds to absolutely demolish everyone in sight. Hydra may have the numbers, but they don't stand a chance against Cap. A single kick from him sends a full-grown man flying into next week, and even more physics-defying. No matter how he throws that shield, it always comes right back to him. Then 2 flamethrower soldiers corner him, and there's nowhere to run. They drag him before Red Skull. Red Skull taunts and beats on Cap, baffled by why Erskine chose someone like him. But this was all part of Cap's plan. Just as Red Skull lets his guard down, reinforcements burst in from every direction, taking out the enemy forces in seconds. Red Skull makes a run for it. Outside, Carter leads the main force in an all-out assault on the base. For the movie's big bad, Red Skull is honestly kind of a coward. The second things go south, he bolts. Hard to tell if he's trying to destroy the world or playing a battle royale. A flamethrower blocks Cap's path, but Carter arrives just in time and drops him with a burst of gunfire. Cap grabs his shield and takes off after Red Skull. He plows through everyone in his way, then makes a spectacular leap across every obstacle between him and the plane. But no matter how fast he runs, 2 legs can't outrun something with wings. At the critical moment, the Colonel and Carter pull up in a supercar. Cap jumps in, the Colonel hits the boost, and the car catches the plane in seconds. With everything he's got, Cap launches himself into the air, grabs onto the landing gear, and pulls himself inside the plane. But what he sees inside stops him cold. Each smaller aircraft is loaded with dangerous payloads and labeled with the name of a city. The intention is crystal clear. He's got to take out every last pilot. So Cap gets to work and eliminates them all, except one who slips away. Cap tries to stop him, but gets dragged up into the air. After a mid-air struggle, Cap finally regains control of the aircraft, but Red Skull has no intention of letting him back in. Anti-aircraft guns blaze away, but can't land a single hit. Instead, Cap flanks him from behind and dives in through the tail of the plane. Red Skull tries to ambush him from behind, but Cap blocks it with his shield. They go at each other in a brutal brawl, realizing he's outmatched. Red Skull tries to draw power from the Tesseract, but his body can't handle it. A surge of energy engulfs him, and Red Skull is teleported away in an instant. Anyone know where he ended up? Drop it in the comments. The Tesseract burns through the floor and plunges into the ocean. But the plane is now completely out of control, and heading straight for New York. And it's packed with doomsday weapons. There's no way to fix this. To prevent the catastrophe, Cap aims the plane straight into the Arctic ice. He's going down with the ship. Over the radio, Cap says his goodbyes to Peggy.
You're gonna need a rain check on that dance.
But before he can finish, the signal goes dead. Fast forward 70 years. The legend of Captain America still lives on in every corner. And the man himself wakes up in a hospital bed. Nothing around him looks familiar. He runs out into the streets, completely overwhelmed by the modern world. None of it feels real. Heavily armed agents quickly surround him. The man stepping out of the car is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. He tells Steve the war ended a long time ago. Steve realizes he's been asleep for 70 years, but he doesn't have time to process any of it. All he wants is to find Peggy and keep that date. But when he finally finds her, Peggy is a frail old woman. She waited for Steve for 70 years. After a long, emotional conversation, Peggy finally remembers him.
Steve. You're alive. You came back.
Yeah, Peggy.
It's been so long. So long.